He met her gaze, something about him felt familiar. His piercing eyes held a quiet intensity, the same one she had seen in the rain that night. Sophia straightened her apron and walked over, forcing a polite smile. "Good afternoon, sir. What can I get for you today?" David took a moment before responding, as if studying her. "A coffee, black. And, maybe, a moment of your time?" Sophia hesitated. The diner was busy, and she had tables to attend to, but there was something about him. Something that made her pause. "I'll get your coffee," she said, nodding before turning toward the counter. As she prepared his drink, her mind raced. Who was he? Why had he left that generous tip? And more importantly, why did he seem so interested in her? When she returned, placing the steaming cup in front of him, David smiled slightly. "I saw what you did the other night," he said, his voice calm but firm. "With the boy. That kind of kindness, it's rare." Sophia blinked, caught off guard. "You saw that?" He nodded. "I did. And I haven't been able to stop thinking about it." Her cheeks flushed, feeling both flattered and confused. "It was just a small act. Nothing special." David leaned forward slightly, his expression serious. "To you, maybe. But to someone like me, someone who's spent his life surrounded by people who only care about wealth and status, it was extraordinary." For a moment, there was silence between them. Sophia wasn't sure what to say. She had spent years feeling invisible, just another struggling waitress in the city. And yet, this man, a billionaire, no less, had noticed her. Before she could respond, he reached into his jacket and pulled out a sleek black business card. "I don't usually do this," he admitted, sliding it across the table. "But I have an offer. One that could change your life." Sophia stared at the card, her heart pounding. The name embossed in silver letters was unmistakable. David Brin, CEO of Brin Enterprises. She swallowed hard. This was the same man whose name was in magazines, on billboards, and headlines. The same man who had left her that generous tip. "What kind of offer?" she asked warily. David smirked slightly. "Meet me for dinner tonight. No obligations, no expectations. Just a conversation. If you're not interested, you walk away, no strings attached." Sophia hesitated. This was insane. A billionaire offering to take her to dinner? It sounded like something out of a fairy tale. But deep down, she knew this moment was different. Something about it felt different. With a deep breath, she picked up the business card and slipped it into her apron pocket. "All right," she said finally. "One dinner." David's smile widened, but there was something else in his eyes, something unreadable. "One dinner," he repeated. "I'll send a car to pick you up at 7. And with that, he finished his coffee, left another generous tip, and walked out of the diner, leaving Sophia staring after him, unsure whether she had just made the best decision of her life or the biggest mistake. Their eyes met, and an inexplicable sense of familiarity tugged at Sophia. The man offered a warm smile, his gaze lingering as though he were carefully studying her. Sophia shook off the odd feeling, straightened her apron, and approached his table, her notepad and pen ready. "Good afternoon," she greeted with her usual friendly tone. "What can I get for you today?" The man hesitated briefly, as if searching for the right words. "I'll have the special of the day," he finally said, "but only if you promise to take a break and have a coffee with me later." Sophia blinked, momentarily caught off guard by his request. "Oh, I'm sorry, but I don't usually take breaks during my shift. Is there anything else you'd like with your order?" she asked politely, trying to keep her tone professional. The man chuckled, seemingly amused. "Just the special for now," he replied, handing back the menu. As Sophia walked away, she couldn't shake the feeling that something about him was different. There was an air of familiarity in his demeanor, as if he knew her yet was choosing not to say so. Throughout his meal, the man observed Sophia intently. He watched how she treated every customer with patience and kindness, never letting the exhaustion of a busy shift dull her warmth. She carried trays with practiced ease, smiled at even the grumpiest patrons, and checked in on everyone to ensure they were satisfied. To him, it was clear, Sophia wasn't just hardworking, she was extraordinary. When she brought him the bill, he reached into his wallet for his credit card. But before she could turn to leave, he stopped her. "Wait," he said, his voice calm but firm. "There's something I'd like to ask you." Sophia tilted her head slightly, curiosity flickering in her eyes. "Yes." The man leaned forward just a bit, lowering his voice. "Do you remember helping a homeless man on the street last week?" Her eyes widened in surprise. "Yes, I do," she answered, a hint of caution in her voice. "How do you know about that?" He smiled knowingly. "Let's just say I saw something that day, a young woman who went out of her way to help someone in need. I was deeply moved by your compassion." Sophia felt her cheeks warm with embarrassment. "It was nothing, really. He needed help, and I just did what anyone should do." "Not everyone would have done what you did," the man countered firmly. "Most people would have walked by without a second thought." He handed her a folded piece of paper along with the bill. "This is for you," he said. "Open it after I leave." Sophia hesitated but accepted it, too polite to refuse. She watched as the man stood up, gave her one last knowing smile, and walked out of the restaurant. Her curiosity got the best of her, and she quickly unfolded the note. Inside was a check. Her breath hitched as she read the amount, $50,000. Beneath the staggering number, a handwritten message read, "Your kindness has inspired me. Use this to create the future you deserve. A grateful stranger." Sophia's hands trembled as she clutched the check. Her heart pounded in her chest. She rushed outside, scanning the street for any sign of the man, but he was already gone. The sleek black car she had noticed earlier was nowhere in sight. That night, in the small, dimly lit apartment she shared with her younger brother, she couldn't stop staring at the check. She wanted to return it. It was far too much money for her to accept. But there was no contact information, no way to find him. Days turned into weeks, and Sophia's life began to shift in ways she never imagined. With the money, she paid off her debts and started saving for a dream she had long buried, a small cafe where anyone, including the homeless, could find warmth, a meal, and kindness. But despite the changes, her thoughts often drifted to the mysterious stranger. Who was he? Why did he help her? And why did he seem so familiar? Then, one evening, as she walked home from the restaurant, a sleek black car pulled up beside her. The window rolled down, revealing the man from the diner. "I was hoping I'd find you," he said with a grin. Sophia froze, her pulse quickening. "You again? Why did you give me that money? Who are you?" The man stepped out of the car, his expression serious but kind. "I owe you an explanation," he said. "My name is David Brin. I'm the CEO of West Design Enterprises." Sophia's jaw nearly dropped. West Design Enterprises, one of the biggest companies in the country. And David Brin, one of the most well-known billionaires. "I didn't tell you who I was because I wanted to see how you'd react," he continued. "I've spent years building wealth, but I've never met anyone as selfless as you. Helping that homeless man, it wasn't just an act of kindness. It showed me who you truly are." Sophia struggled to process his words. "But why would someone like you care about me? I'm just a waitress." David smiled, his eyes softening. "You're far more than that. You have a heart that money can't buy, and the world needs more people like you." He reached into his pocket and handed her an envelope. "This is a deed to a small cafe downtown. It's yours now. Consider it an investment in someone who truly deserves it." Tears welled in Sophia's eyes. She shook her head, overwhelmed. I can't accept this. It's too much." David gently placed the envelope in her hand. "Just promise me one thing," he said. "Keep being the person who inspired me. Keep helping others." From that day forward, Sophia's life transformed. Her cafe became a sanctuary, a place where anyone, no matter their background, could find kindness, warmth, and hope. And though she never fully understood why fate had brought David Brin into her life, she knew one thing for certain: kindness, no matter how small, could change the world.